After creation, Adam and Eve lived in the beautiful garden God created. It was called the Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve were free to enjoy it and do as they pleased. But there was one thing God forbade them to do. God told them that they could not eat of one tree, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil that stood in the middle of the garden. One day, while Eve was strolling through the garden, she met a serpent who was actually the devil in disguise. The serpent said to Eve, "Did God tell you that you could eat from any of the trees?" "All except one. We cannot eat from the tree in the middle, not even touch it. If we do, we will die," Eve told the serpent. "You won't die," the serpent scoffed. "In fact, God knows that if you eat it, you'll be like God. You'll know good and evil." Eve looked at the tree. It did look pretty good. And if it would make her as wise as God, well, that would be really good. At that moment, Eve made a very foolish mistake. She ate some of the fruit, exactly what the devil wanted. Then she saw Adam and handed him some of the fruit. Even though Adam knew they were not supposed to eat the fruit from that tree or even touch it, he took a bite. Adam and Eve broke the only rule God gave them. The devil's lie deceived them, and his plan worked. At that moment, Adam and Eve's eyes opened to a whole new reality. They saw that they were naked, and suddenly understood the difference between good and evil. They were so ashamed. They tried to cover their naked bodies with leaves, and decided to hide from God. Later that evening, as God was strolling through the garden, he was looking for Adam and Eve. "Where are you?" God called. Naked and afraid, Adam and Eve were hiding from God. God knew that they had sinned. Adam blamed Eve, and Eve blamed the serpent. God was furious that the devil tricked them, but more so, that they believed the devil's lie. God cursed the serpent and banished Adam and Eve from that garden. He put angels with flaming swords at the entrance and told Adam and Eve that they will not live forever, but one day die. Their lives would be filled with hardship and misery. This was the consequence of their disobedience. Because Adam and Eve sinned, the world would never be the same. Their disobedience would cause every person in the whole world to be born into sin. In the future, though, God would send his own Son, in the form of a human, to redeem and take away the sin of the world and offer eternal life to anyone who believes in him.